What's going on, everybody? Tailscaper. Today, I'll be telling the story of the worst Greyhound trip I've ever been on and how I met the biggest douche named Freedom Grudge, whose name sounds like the main antagonist in a video game. It all starts when I visited this town I used to live in. If that sounds familiar, it's because I made a video before about the events before this. So one of my last videos was about what happened the last time I was visiting, and this video is about what happened when I was leaving this city to go to Montana. The town I was staying in was so small that there was no Greyhound stop, so I had somebody drive me 20 minutes to the next city where there was a Greyhound stop. When we got there, a bus pulled up. I looked at my schedule, and it was right where the bus was supposed to be at the right time. But just to make sure, I went up to the bus driver and I asked him to make sure that this was the right bus. He blew me off and told me that he was on his lunch break. I looked all over the bus to see if the numbers on the bus were corresponding with the numbers on my paperwork, but there were so many different numbers on the bus, I didn't know where to look. Besides, the sign on this bus said that it was going to Montana. So I got on the bus, and a little while later the bus driver came back and the bus was off. I felt certain that this was the correct bus, so I didn't even bother to ask the driver. I started talking to this guy on the bus, and he told me that he didn't think the bus was headed to the city that I thought it was going to. I didn't think about it too much, but the next time the bus stopped, I asked the driver to look at my schedule again. This time he did, and got very angry with me because I went on the wrong bus. I would have told him off about how all this happened because he's lazy, but he was already gonna get the bus situation sorted out. All I had to do was sit there and get yelled at by an asshole. The bus driver called the station and told me that the bus that I was supposed to be on was behind schedule because there was a truck wreck on the highway. Ironically, the woman driving the truck that got in the accident was from the same city I was visiting. I sat at this gas station for an hour, during which time two guys joined me who were supposed to be on the same bus as me. One of the guys was a year older than me and was going to Montana for college. The other guy came across as shy and sat as far away from us as possible. When the bus came, the bus driver got out and took our names. When she got to the guy in front of me, he told her his name was Freedom Grudge. The bus driver wasn't taking any shit and told him that that was not his real name. When he pulled out his ID and showed her that he had legally changed his name to Freedom Grudge, the bus driver hesitantly believed him and he got in the bus. The college student and I talked for a while before I realized that it was getting late. I asked the bus driver what was going to happen, and she told me that the Greyhound would pay for us to be put in a hotel, which I gotta say is pretty lucky since I heard of people in the same situation that had to sleep in the Greyhound station. It was around 9 at night when we reached the Greyhound station at Spokane, Washington, and the bus driver started calling all the hotels in the city to see if there were any available rooms. Freedom Grudge was apparently not happy with what had happened that day and was expressing to one of the Greyhound employees about how unhappy he was with Greyhound. In between phone calls, him and the bus driver would get into arguments. Around 10, we still didn't have anywhere to go. The problem was that we needed a hotel room that had availability at 10 o'clock at night in a busy city, and the hotel had to have transportation for us to be picked up at this time and at 3 a.m. so we didn't miss our bus and the bus driver wasn't late to work. We talked for a while about taking a taxi then, but in the morning we couldn't find much taxis that were available at 3. Then Freedom told us that he had a friend that could pick us up at both times. But when his friend got to the station, they soon left because they heard how many of us there were. The bus driver went back to looking for hotel rooms, and Freedom was on and off the phone with his girlfriend, complaining to her. At 12 a.m., all of us were still stranded at the station, and the last people to work at the station went home, so we couldn't sleep there. At that point, we agreed to get 2 rooms and just share it with 2 people. Then the bus driver found a hotel with 4 rooms and transportation to drive us to the hotel, and a taxi that'll drive us to the bus station at 3 in the morning. When we got to the hotel, Freedom split apart from us and joined his girlfriend who was waiting for him in the lobby. The bus driver happened to be telling a man at the front desk that she wanted 4 rooms, right when Freedom's girlfriend came up at the perfect time and started yelling to the driver about how bad she was at her job. The bus driver looked at Freedom's girlfriend, then casually looked back at the man in the front and told him that they only needed 3 rooms. When Freedom realized that that meant he wasn't getting a room, he apologized to the bus driver, and Freedom's girlfriend started crying about how she was pregnant. But the bus driver didn't care, and all of a sudden there was a yelling, screaming, crying fest in the lobby, and I was thinking to myself whether this was real or I was just imagining this strange circumstances. I then looked at the college student, and I guess he was fueled by the yelling, so he started yelling over them to a random guy about how he should never take Greyhound. Meanwhile, the guy at the front desk was trying his hardest to calm everybody down, but no one was listening. I had enough of that day, and I took one of the keys from the counter that the clerk gave to the bus driver and headed to that room. When I got to the room, I took a shower and immediately went to bed. It felt like I had closed my eyes for only a second when I got a call from the room phone. There's no way it's already 3, I told myself, but answered the phone anyways. To my utter disappointment, it was 3 in the morning and I was to go down to the lobby and wait for a taxi to bring me to the bus station. When I got down to the lobby, I saw the college guy sitting on a bench, but I didn't see Freedom. When I asked the college guy what happened to him, he told me that Freedom decided to take a taxi across several states instead of taking a Greyhound trip that he had already paid for. The taxi came in 10 minutes and the two of us hopped in. I'm guessing the bus driver had already taken an earlier taxi. After all that, I was on my way to Montana when my brother picked me up and we hung out the rest of the day. If you like that story and want to hear one just as crazy, tune in for the next video I'll be uploading in 3 days for the story about what happened after I got to Montana. Remember to like this video and subscribe to Tilescape for new content. Until next time.